What is going on, guys? Malcolm Greb, CEO of Elite Automation, Elite Properties, and an investor in Tesla. So we just got news that the Tesla Model Y L has came out in China. Now, that's not the news for today. The news for today, Elon Musk says the Model Y L won't come to the US for at least a year, and even bigger, may not come at all. And I want to get into why he's saying that, why he's saying that it's not going to come. And I also want to get into, basically some of the reasoning of, or what their future plan is. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and engage FSD in the Cybertruck. And yeah, there we go, we're engaged. I don't want to go that way. See, these are the interventions. You just, don't want to go that way. Instead, it'd be faster to go out this way. Okay. I think this is one way. But so Elon is saying that basically we might not get the Model Y L in the United States due to autonomy. Which means he thinks that we might be far enough in autonomy that we wouldn't need a Model Y L. And then that takes you into the next thought process of like, why would we not need a Model Y L just because we have autonomy? Either families are going to want to travel together, or people are going to want to still own their own vehicles, and that's going to be a thing. So hopefully, like, Elon is really thinking of the culture around like driving a vehicle. Some people are already used to paying for their vehicle. They don't mind paying double what it would cost if I just did a Robo-Taxi service, and I just paid like a monthly, or I paid like a per ride basis, even if it was half the cost, right? There's so many of us that are accustomed culturally to taking rides that's going to be a big adaptation. Now, there's some places that have already culturally adapted to that, and that's like your bigger cities where a lot of people just don't own vehicles, especially if they're living intra-city. But generally, even in the bigger cities, if somebody's living in like the suburbs of that city, they own a vehicle, right? It's because it's hard to go from the suburb to the inner city, and way too expensive to take like an Uber or something like that. And even if you reduce the cost by half, it still might be too expensive. If you're looking at a $60 Uber ride and it's still $30 to get to work every day, I mean, some people can't even afford to get to work. Whereas if like somebody owns like a Toyota Camry or something like that, and pays like $30 a day or a week in gas, then the cost justification is not necessarily there either. But I do think over time everybody will convert, or majority of people will convert, or people own one vehicle instead of two vehicles, three vehicles. Like for us, well, I can't even put us in an example. We're like outliers to the whole normal economy, because we own like 6 vehicles. But for our personal uses, I like to have at least 3 vehicles. I have some of them that are kind of more of our daily drivers. I have some of them that are like if I'm just driving, some of them if we're all driving together as a family. But however, if I had like the Cybertruck and then I had like a Cyber SUV, those would be the only 2 vehicles I'd really need, and I wouldn't care to have anything else. But I need something that's massive that I can carry a lot of stuff in, and then I also need something that I can carry a lot of kids in, since we have 6 kids. But yeah, going back into the reasoning of why autonomy might disrupt the Model Y L. Oh, was that a Starlink? No, it's a solar panel. I thought they had a Starlink on the side of the highway for maybe like data collection or something, but it was just a solar panel. And actually, before I get into that, I want to call out one more thing. And the one more thing is that we may not also have production in the U.S. for 2 different reasons. One, just in general, they're behind in their tooling and their deployment of the project. And so they could be behind in those items. So you have like the engineering and then the fixturing and all that good stuff. That's just a retooling, right? And that process can take years. It could be up to at least a couple year process, depending on, you know, if it's just retooling. I mean, you're looking at probably max 6 months. So first of all, you could have a delay in that. Secondly, Tesla might have a bit of an approach of, let's go ahead and deploy this vehicle. Let's see how well it does in the China market, in over in like Southeast Asia or whatever. And what's my train of thought? Oh, and more importantly, refine on the manufacturing processes. So if they have to make adjustments in this tooling and machine some things, they're able to take all those costs and extract all of them out, like all the retooling work. That's what I'd refer to, right? So anything that needs modification after installation, maybe things in the drawings just don't match up, don't line up, and so they have to be remanufactured, re-engineered, and those things are, you know, pretty expensive, right? We do change orders for our company. This is like the core of what Elite Automation does. Is we build automation manufacturing equipment. We also do retooling of existing manufacturing equipment, and weld fixturings and just fixturings in general is one of our core competencies. So we're very familiar with these, you know, tool changes and tool changes after installation and all that good stuff. I mean, you know, we did probably at least like $200,000 to $300,000 in just tooling changes this year. So that stuff adds up quick, and that was just on one part of a vehicle, not even like the full scale of a vehicle whatsoever. So I mean, you can easily get into like millions of dollars pretty easily on retooling. So so they might want to kind of capture some of that cost before and make those design iterations before they deploy that system in the United States. Could also be one last thing is a capital deferment, meaning we're going to invest this much money in China this year, we're going to invest this much money into the US this year, and so it's more of a capital expenditure thing, and you know how much money they're wanting to invest in different regions. It may just be part of their capital plan, you know, something that, you know, and partly kind of written by like CFO or something like that. But this is not the biggest thing. The biggest thing, and I'm really, really hoping that this is going to be the true demo, and that people thinking this Roadster is going to be the biggest demo ever this year. What I'm really banking on, and I'm predicting, is that Tesla is actually working on their autonomous lineup of vehicles. So as you know, we've seen the Robo-Taxi before, and the Robo-Taxi is an autonomous vehicle. It doesn't have any foot pedals, it doesn't have a steering wheel, and that is the future. That is one vehicle in the lineup. And they showed also the Robo-Van, right? This is like the bus or slash van that doesn't have any steering wheel, pedals, and it's structured completely different, where it's more like a city bus inside, yet doesn't have any driver operational control at all. And so with that being said, this could be just the very beginning of a new lineup of vehicles. And why does it matter? Well, in reality, or how do I put this? Why does autonomy matter against the current design of vehicles? Well, I think that like the Robo-Van is a prime example of why it matters. If you look at the Robo-Van's design, all of the seats, you have rows of seats, and then the seats are facing inward towards each other. When we have an autonomous vehicle where we don't need to have driver controls, we can arrange our seating arrangements however, right? Now, given there's going to be some safety constraints to that, so I think you're almost definitely going to have either forward-facing or backward-facing. I'm not exactly positive on the constraints of this, but I know sideward-facing could potentially create some issues, and like if you're in a collision, there's like nothing to really stop you from like flinging in that direction. So like if you're backward facing, like you're not going to go anywhere. If you're rear-ended, it's going to be the same thing as like if you wreck into somebody frontward facing the other direction, you know. So I think backward and inward facing seat structures is where we're going to go. I also think that we're going to see, I don't know that Tesla's going to do this. I think this might be third party. I think it would be smart for it to directly come from a manufacturer, but even like office setup vehicles, right? Somebody like me, like that's really what I need on like a trip like this. I mean, I need the bed so I can put tools and stuff in it, or well, employees more so, but you know, different like our you know, PLC programmers or mechanical guys, but really I want to say like programmers, people who are still doing a lot of like office work, a lot of like engineering work, electrical engineering, mechanical engineering, PLC programming, robot programming, all these things that we're doing computer work, right? So basically being able to have a vehicle that's set up where it's an office inside, right? You have a desk in front of you, you have like USB ports and 120 outlets, so that way you can plug in computers or whatever it is that you have. You know, we currently have like the big monitor right here, but maybe it's set up where you have like multiple big monitors right in front of you, almost in a way where, I don't know, maybe you don't see the road. That would get like kind of questionable if like, but there might be variants, right? That might be a variant thing where like you have an option that's like screens all around you and it's like work mode, and then you have a variant where it's like windows and glass and like there's nothing else there, you know. And so that could become the variation of vehicles versus like just a longer edition and a shorter edition and a sports edition and a long range edition. I'm speaking on Tesla's models and whatnot, but instead of having just those different variants, you have, you know, more of a significant difference of a variant, similar to like you know, you have like your Ford E-Series vehicles where you have like well, I guess it wouldn't be E-Series, but let's go with Transit, right? Your Ford Transit, you have those in a 12 passenger, you have those in a 15 passenger, but then you also have those in a cargo variant for like, you know, work trucks and stuff. And you have variants, I think, where like the door slides open on the side, and you also have, I think all of them, the back opens up. But some of them I think don't have a door opening on the side or something. But point being is like they're set up as two different, I'll say, major variants in a way. Like the structure of the vehicle and everything's still the same. It's just outfitted differently. Meaning it doesn't have, one of them doesn't have seats, it's cargo. It doesn't have windows either, so you can't see into it, can't break into it. And that's exactly what I mean. Like you might have something that's more of just a shell, and inside of it is, you know, I mean, heck, I mean, you go all the way next level and have like a complete augmented reality space inside of there. So like think about like VR headset, but the entire vehicle could be VR, right? And so you're looking around in here and you can see like your entire, everything you're doing, and like being that you're in a vehicle, you're encapsulated in a oh, how do I put it? You're encapsulated in a space that would be fairly easy to equip that vehicle with sensor technology to do more augmented reality thing. For example, when you have like Apple's VR or just any of them, right? If I click around my finger and do stuff, there's cameras pointing out of that to like track my finger and track what I'm doing. Well, if you have cameras pointing outward to you, right? Or inward towards you. Yeah, I think it'd be inward towards you. Then when I move my finger around like this, I have a camera over here capturing it. I have a camera over there capturing it. You know, I have a camera right in front of me capturing it. And so I have like 3 vision points capturing the data in the tip of my finger. So whenever I do something like this and I rotate my finger, it's getting more context, because it's actually, if you imagine like a 3D scanner, which is something that, you know, I have quite a bit of experience in, so I might get a little too deep on this, but like, you know, basically 3D scanners have the ability to take very high definition 3D images through like a line profiler type of thing. Now, I don't know if they do line profiler and whatever, but it basically gives you like tolerances of like micromillimeters. And so, but with that, you could gain a lot more data points in its ability to analyze. Like, for example, like if we're gonna look at something just like my finger, right? Like if you look at the lines, like the same way you have facial recognition, you can have finger detection, and it can recognize the wrinkles and the lines on my finger versus that side. That's the front of my finger. That's this of my finger, right? And so like the vision system itself also can start to understand gesture, and with Tesla's AI and Grok's AI, the advancement that they're going to have with these type of things moving forward. Like, it's like, let's solve autonomy, and then they're going to go into some wild stuff. Like, what can we do inside the vehicle to make this space more usable? I mean, these might become mobile offices where, like, you go out to your car and work. Because why not? Like, you have this equipped vehicle that has all this sensor technology pointing in, and, I can do gestures like, hold on a minute. Like, if Grok's trying to talk to me, I can just hold up my finger. Like, I'm on a call real quick. I can just do like this, boom, Grok stops talking to me. You know what I mean? And you can have just different, not only just different gesture technologies, but being able to understand human gesture technologies. Like, there's things that already have gesture technology. The issue with that gesture technology is you have to remember it. For example, I have like an AI camera, okay? AI web camera, and like you do like this, and it'll zoom in on you while you're recording. Like, you don't have to do nothing, you just do like this and it'll zoom in, or you do like that and it'll zoom out, or you do, you know what I mean, like this, and whatever, it does some other thing. But you have to remember those things, and that's one of the challenges. Is like, I don't freaking remember. Like, sometimes I might remember to do this, sometimes I might want to do that. Like, but the AI would then be able to gain the context of like, oh, that's what they're trying to do, and you could have quick prompts. Like, you go like this, and if it is confused, it can say, do you want to zoom in? Yes. Okay, I'm going off on a way deeper tangent. I don't want to keep going down this road, but however, this is a very interesting topic, and I wouldn't mind talking on this topic more. But basically, I'm just giving you like the perspective of, this is what robo-taxi vehicles might look like. This is what the future of AI might look like, right? And why would Tesla go down this road? Why would they have a mobile office? Well, because like majority of rides, like 80% of rides or something like that, I know it's at least 50%, we'll have to check the data on that, but it's like 80 at least is for like 2 riders. I know for sure 80% of rides are with 2 riders or less. Okay, I think at least 50% of rides are with 1 rider, and it might be 60. And again, I don't know what the data is, but hey, Ara, what's the data on how many riders are normally in a ride share?
There isn't much specific data pinpointing the exact number of riders in a rideshare vehicle at one time. But here's what we know. Most rideshare trips with companies like Uber and Lyft are solo rides, meaning 1 passenger per trip, especially for standard services like UberX or Lyft Standard. For shared or pooled options like Uber Pool or Lyft Shared, the average tends to hover around 2 to 3 passengers per trip, based on how these services match riders heading in similar directions. Pooling isn't as common as it used to be. Only about 10% of rides were pooled pre-pandemic, and that number is likely lower now. If you're thinking about a specific city or want more details, let me know and I can dig deeper.
Do you have a rough data point on how many rides are with 1 rider only?
Solo rides make up the majority of rideshare trips, with studies from a few years back estimating about 70 to 80% of Uber and Lyft rides are single passenger.
70 and 80%, yeah. Thank you, Grok. So,
you're welcome. Yep, 70 to 80% of rides are just 1 person, so solo trips are definitely the norm.
Okay, shut up, please.
Got it.
But so with that being said, it's only a single rider in the car, meaning you have one singular, I'll say, space that could be used for whatever. It could be used for entertainment. It could be used for working. And so there's going to start becoming different classifications. And I really hope Tesla takes this on themselves, because I think they'll do better at it than anybody. But like, and I really want to see them do like luxury Robo-Taxi, right? Like, let's retire the Model X and Model S And when I say retire, maybe not even fully retire, but like let's create a variant, an autonomous variant of this luxury vehicle that is a work office space. Like that literally should be absolutely one. You should have an entertainment space that maybe for gaming, watching movies, and that's what it's for. But you have those two things, right? At least. What do you want? Do you want to take an office vehicle or do you want to take an entertainment vehicle today? And with that being said, or with those two variants, they're basically able to, service the market in a way that it's not serviced. It can't be serviced, right? It's not serviced right now. Like, and it really has to come from the manufacturer, right? It has to come from the manufacturer because an Uber driver is not going to adapt their vehicle to be a mobile office in the back. They can barely pick up their trash on the car. They can barely get Cheetos out of their seats. You know what I mean? So, like, that's never going to happen. And Uber's never going to do it because they don't own the vehicles. Maybe somebody like a Waymo, like how they're starting with, like, putting ads on their vehicles. Maybe, somebody like that might equip vehicles and say, hey, okay, well, this is what we're going to do. Instead, we're going to use, like, the Ford Transit, and we're going to equip that as mobile offices. Because they're already equipping it with LiDAR, why not equip it with a mobile office as well? But I just want to see it come from the manufacturer because, one, the manufacturer can do a couple things. They can do it cheaper because they'll have mass manufacturing. And then, secondly, they can do it in a more integrated way. AKA, like how I was talking about that extremely in-depth technology with gestures and being able to do different things. Because if we can create like a VR space around us and I can grab stuff, drag stuff from all around me and pull different screens up and say, hey, Grok, where was that at? What's going on with this? Like, da-da-da-da, and completely interact with the vehicle, it can literally become a workspace. So Elon Musk, Tesla team, this is one of the next things I think you should work on, is creating an office space like in the vehicle. And when you get to those, whenever you get to those types of innovations, in my opinion, you're easily in the $100,000+ vehicle market. You're in the $150,000 vehicle market. If my office space can be my vehicle and I literally leave my house to go sit in my vehicle so that I can work, and the thing is like, this would be extremely difficult to do in a house. Why? Why is it extremely difficult to do in a house? Because I would have to have some contractor come into my house, set up all this equipment to have all these cameras pointing at me and stuff. It's going to have to take up a whole room in my house. You know what I mean? It's going to, there's going to be distractions from the kids playing in the other room. You know what I mean? Like, I literally go out to my car sometimes when I'm at home and like a summer break, and I go, if I'm not at the shop or at the office or whatever, I literally go out to my car to have meetings because it's quiet. People don't bother me. You know what I mean? And I can lock the doors. Nobody can get in. But this is a whole market. It's a whole, and you have, I think this could be a tool that even businesses would invest in. So instead of a business investing in office space, like, they could invest in parking lot space that is basically vehicles. I don't know. I just see like this integrated version of like, do we even need to go to offices? Do we just work out of our parking lot from home? If we do need to come together, we can all pull up together at a Walmart parking lot for our meeting. Our vehicle automatically drives itself. And I'm just going to talk sci-fi for a second. All of our vehicles, we have a meeting at 10 a.m. and all of our vehicles know to leave our houses at the exact time. So we all roll up and meet at 10 a.m. Maybe one of us has a coffee place put in there, so it allots for an extra 5 minutes to stop at the coffee place and then get out of the coffee place to all arrive at the same time. We can all get out of our cars and chat about whatever we need to chat about in person, and or have like a setup where it's like an incubator space, or it could be offices. But like, if we don't need offices on a daily basis, like for us, like as a company, even Elite Automation with 50+ employees, like, we're only in the office if we have like mechanical things to build, if customers are coming by to visit, factory acceptance testings, it's very minimal, right? We have some event things that we do to meet up and all that good stuff, but like we don't really get together all that much. We have a very remote company, and you know it's worked out pretty well for us. But I mean, this can go to the whole next level, and I'm just talking about office space only because like I'm an entrepreneur and I'm thinking business and whatnot. But there's a lot of people that care more about entertainment. You know, you could have like the vehicle could become your entertainment system, right? You have the PS5, you have the Xbox, you have the Nintendo Switch, and you have the Tesla. And the Tesla is its own operating system that operates its own gaming. I mean, the GPUs in this thing are better than like a PlayStation 5 or any other gaming system. So especially when you're sitting idle, like this thing has so much compute. Now I don't know if like you start driving and you're using some of that compute for the actual AI execution, how much extra you'd have left for things like gaming and whatnot. But I mean, I'm just talking about like two things, just office and entertainment. That's two categories they could touch on, and there's probably a ton of other categories that I'm not even mentioning in this video. And to kind of circle this all back after that long-winded example, these vehicles are going to be designed differently. They're not going to be designed like this normal vehicle. All this weird dash area that I have here, well, I don't know why it's here anyway. It's a huge dash. I'm assuming they have like a lot of like componentry hardware built into it, which I'm also kind of surprised that like why all the other hardware is not designed like the battery pack. And so you have like battery pack and then another thin layer on top of it, or thick layer, whatever. But now you have even more weight down below, which gives you even lower center of gravity versus like having all this hardware stuff up here. And also for like maintenance into the future, like if you could like drop the battery out and then drop the next unit out, and then all your componentry is sitting right there to be able to work on it. Like literally the entire vehicle just drops out the bottom, and like the only thing that's not there is like any sensory devices that you have out in the field, your actuators for your tires and stuff like that. But even a lot of that stuff I think can be built up into that pack. That's like the vehicle operation pack. I mean, especially once you take out steering wheels, and they've been testing and getting through supply chain issues with like doing steer by wire, doing the foot and the gas and the brake by wire. So now that those are by wire, like before they were mechanical connections, so you had to have things in a, how do I call it? They had to be mechanically bound. But now that the like steering wheel is wireless, I can have the steering wheel up here, I can have the steering wheel over here, anywhere. You know what I mean? Just for context of like how things can be shifted around now that they're not mechanically attached anymore. I mean, it could be like one of those situations where I think, some of the sci-fi videos, which if we have full self-driving, I don't know that matters, but there's like some of the sci-fi videos where I take my steering wheel and I pass it over to the passenger. Now the passenger's driving and I'm doing my thing over here or whatever. I think like in like some cop chase videos or something like that, they have like the cops that can switch who's driving or something. But I don't think they'll have that. Maybe there's some special use cases where they do have it for like law enforcement or something. But yeah. This is the future. I think Tesla might be, they're definitely, if it's not the thing they present this year, it's definitely the approach that they're going. If they're not already going to show this demo this year, I think we're going to start seeing the demos and prototypes next year to release in maybe 2027. Autonomy should be, we have safety riders by end of 2026. Wait, where are we at? 25? 25? Yeah. We're in 25. 2026, I think we'll have unsupervised in majority of the country, if not all of it, at the end of 2026. Which means 2027 is a good time frame to be deploying autonomous only vehicles. Which means they have to present something like that in the near future. And the other big thing is, there's not any Osborne effect or any effect of competition because nobody else can do it. They could present the most wild thing and somebody could try to copy it, but it don't matter because they don't have autonomy, so they can't do it. And this is like one of the issues with like Waymo. Waymo's equipping their hardware on other vehicles. And it's like, that's not the future of autonomy when you completely adjust how a vehicle is. If you create that office space, like what's a Waymo going to do? You know what I mean? If they come out with a vehicle that's Robo-Taxi, autonomous ready, and I'll give an example, like I think Zoox, it's a specially designed vehicle for its autonomy, which I really like that. I don't know who their manufacturing partner is. It's an Amazon vehicle, but I don't know who their manufacturing partner is. It might be Canoe, which is somebody that we've explored doing work with before, but they're like a line builder manufacturer. But yeah, that's the future. It's going to happen. My projection is by 2027, we will start having autonomous first vehicles. That's my bet. Not including Robo-Taxi. I think Robo-Taxi is going to be mid-2026. I think it's going to be ready. I think it might only deploy in certain cities like Austin, Texas. Hopefully it's sharing the line with something like a Model Y or Model 3, so that way, and or new lineups of vehicles are also on that line. So like if there is any delay in Robo-Taxi rollout, that they can switch over like the product being produced on that line. But yeah, subscribe if you're interested in other Tesla content like this or any other entrepreneurial business related content, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.